Just to introduce myself again, Cliff Funnell. I work for an organisation called FP7 UK. I am the national contact point for surface transport, which is, it's a strange sounding name. Surface transport is anything that's not air transport, so it's road, rail, maritime, inland waterways, etc. But I will be talking about the whole of FP7, not just the area that I'm involved with, although obviously I'll make references to using my experience of my area. So my presentation will be what is FP7 UK, FP7 why, what is it? What is FP7? I've been asked a few times today, tell me about FP7, what is it? Which is always stuck in the headlights. How do you do it? What if I'm successful? Examples of some maritime projects that I've been involved with, but do demonstrate the types of proposal projects that are funded, and then information, where to get more information. So what is FP7 UK? We're an integrated team of national contact points, and a national contact point is that which has been, I suppose, formally accepted or acknowledged by the European Commission to be assisting organisations within the member state participate in the framework programme. So every member state has an NCP, National Contact Point Network, and in the UK we are supported by the Technology Strategy Board. And our role is to provide information and advice to UK participants and achieve success in the framework programme. And to be honest, our role is really to try and get as much money back from Europe as we can, to get as much industrial participation from the UK as we can, and ideally to ensure that is high quality R&D for UK industry. And I think this slide is, once again, it's another where do we all fit in, but I think this is crucial, is that we as FP7 UK, under the framework programme, but we have contact, and I just don't mean sort of superficial contact, I mean real constructive contact across all these areas. As I said, I would use my sort of background as surface transport contact point to demonstrate how I work. Technology Strategy Board, Tonino Amarelli sits there as lead technologist for transport. I operate with him, work with him, we let each other know what's going on, provide information two ways. BEAR is the organisation I work closely with, whether it's with the automotive unit in BEAR or the Marine Defence and Aerospace unit, working closely with them, trying to see how we can help the UK. DFT is obviously important for the Department of Transport. If we then look down through academia, obviously have a good relationship with a lot of the main universities in this sector. KTNs, Knowledge Transfer Networks, also crucial, also important. We see ourselves as working hand in hand with the Knowledge Transfer Networks. The two organisations, two KTNs I work closely with are the Low Carbon and Fuel Cell KTN, and also Innovits, which is Intelligent Transport Systems. But in addition to that, we have people like the Low Carbon Vehicle Partnership. I sit on the Innovation Working Group. Foresight Vehicle, I sit on one of the technology working groups. Shipbuilding and Ship Repair Association, Society of Maritime Industries, British Marine Federation. So continually working across the whole of the UK, working to try and identify how we can get UK industry primarily, but all UK organisations, but industry primarily involved in FP7. Talked about RDAs and the dissolved agencies, working very closely as we are here, but also with the Welsh Assembly, Scottish Parliament, Scottish Government, etc. And also the large companies and their supply chains. So, why do it? One of my concerns, I've been involved with the sort of funding technology for a long, long time, is you should not participate in these proposals, and I'm sure I'm teaching many of you to suck eggs, because of the money. It's, will it address our business needs? What are our chances of success? How are we going to participate? How much time will we need to commit? Who is going to do the work, and how close am I to the market? So it's all about your business needs. Not necessarily short-term in the case of framework programme, maybe for the regional grants, which you'll hear about later, But for framework, it's the much longer business strategy. And why? What are the benefits? Well, of course, there's partial funding, and I'll talk about the sort of the level of funding. It's risk spreading. By definition, you're in collaboration with a number of different types of organisations. You'll be spreading the risk. You will have access to new and different technologies. People always, when I used to first get involved with collaboration, say, oh, well, I'm not going to start sharing my technology with other people. Well, it's not necessarily a case of that. Don't forget you're sharing their technologies and you're being able to apply their technologies. But, of course, there are IPR rules that protect any of that background information. But you are working together on new projects and developing new technologies. And, of course, there's access to new business markets. You know, why would you get involved with a framework programme? Because if you really want to work in Europe, this is a wonderful way of doing so. Even participating in the proposals, let alone the projects, does bring you into contact with a lot of very useful, very knowledgeable organisations. Clustering, leading to standards. A lot of the projects are all about trying to develop standards or working together with organisations in your own sector to try and develop the technologies that meet the new European standards. Raising your profile. I mean, this was discussed this morning with grants. Supply chain development and security. By working in these projects, you can work with your supply chain, you can work with your customers, you can work with people below you in the supply or underneath you in the supply chain. You can develop new industry sectors. And, of course, staff development and interest. I don't want to underestimate that. A lot of the organisations I talk to, certainly in Europe, say that they use these projects sometimes to bring along good postgrads, good graduate management training schemes to bring their new people in to these sort of smaller projects first of all before they're bringing them into the whole company. So what to fund? It's not your short-term new projects, and you'll see why in a minute. Not to enable your company to survive for the same reason. The funding is there and plentiful, but because it's Europe, it might take a long time to arrive. But it's not as bad as that. Knowledge generation that looks a bit too much in the future for you to fund fully. So it's not necessarily things which you think, this is a fantastic idea and I want to get on with this. That's not the sort of thing that companies would normally put into one of these projects. Speak at BMT, British Maritime Technology, one of the success stories, I suppose, of research industry or government research establishment that was privatised in the marine sector. They're now working worldwide, primarily in defence, but they get involved heavily in the framework programme, and their Director of Research always sort of gives presentations on how they get involved in FP7, and they say those projects which they want to go to market with in the next few years, they think are a winner, they do that themselves. What they're looking at are those which the higher risk, the ones which there are other strategic reasons for getting involved. Those things where you need a little bit of extra funding, this thing called additionality to get involved to get the projects off the ground. Things obviously you can't do alone, and to establish and bind expanded networks, these business networks. So what is it? It's the European Commission's main funding programme for research in Europe, with a 7-year programme run from 2007 to 2013 with a budget of 50.5 billion. The UK at the moment, I saw